How can specializing in one design aspect, such as lighting, equip us with a toolkit to explore and refine our ideas better? And does pursuing freelance allow us to hone in on the elements of architecture that stimulate us the most? Furthermore, in what ways can lighting be the secret underlying unifier of a space? And what effect does its presence and perception elicit in the ambiance of retail architecture? Today, on the 4th episode of Archfolio, is our guest, Stephanie Alimurung, to share with us her answers. Hello everyone, I'm your host Julian, and welcome to episode 4 of the Archfolio. As kids, we always marveled at window vitrines and beautiful boutiques where twinkling lights seemed to shimmer and sparkle, enrapturing us as we gleamed into worlds of imagination and wonder. And as adults, we draw towards places that are lustrous in light, whether in well-illuminated social spaces or the warm glow of a fireplace at home. Our behaviors as we've grown center around light and elicits within us many emotions that impact how we learn, live, and interact with others. Indeed, lighting design is arguably one of the most important factors in architecture and our built environments. And so today, we are joined by an architect who specializes in this field, shining light with her knowledge and her presence, a dear friend, Stephanie Alimurung. Stephanie Alimurung is a lighting designer and registered architect, having worked professionally for 6 years in the Philippines before moving to Italy to pursue her master's degree in lighting design at Politecnico di Milano. She currently works at Metis Lighting in Milan, where she has handled from conception to completion various luxury brand projects, including some of the largest retail stores for jewelry houses in Europe. Her craft focuses on creating intentional, detail-driven lighting installations that reflect the ethos of her customers, approaching her design with cross-culture and cross-disciplinary collaboration. And so it is with excitement and giddiness that we welcome today again, Stephanie Alimurung. Welcome to the episode.
Yay.
Welcome to the podcast. How have you been?
To be here. Good.
Good. How are you dealing with the heat? It's 30 degrees for reference outside right now.
Yeah, it suddenly became summer, huh?
Literally, last week it was just hailing where I was in France. And right now, it's 30 degrees. I cannot handle this change in weather. Is it kind of like that back at home in Manila?
I would still say no, a hard no.
No,
like this
really?
is the good season in Manila. Good meaning the bearable heat.
This is bearable?
Yeah, this is.
Oh my God, I can't imagine.
Yeah, because in the shade you feel the cool breeze. In the summer of the Philippines, it's humid and it's very hot. You're just standing and you're sweating.
Even in the shade too, you're sweating. Like it doesn't do much there.
It doesn't matter where. So this is great for me.
I know.
A nice day to wear less clothes.
I know. Feel the breeze and enjoy the summer. But speaking of Manila and the Philippines, let's go back in time to when you were in your undergrad. And obviously today you specialize in lighting, but has that always been your favorite part of designing in your architecture projects? Or was it an interest that was born after you graduated through work or experience?
I would say that it always had, it always struck a chord in me, lighting. I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but in our education, we had the basic design classes, structural and all of that stuff. And some, they call it utilities, but they put in their lighting and acoustics. And I always knew that I wanted to study something architecture related, but not just a master in architecture. So not deepening into the same topics. And I remember there was once this talk of a lighting designer.
Oh.
I forget who, but she presented her projects and the images were so beautiful because, you know, lighting is a lot about mood. And I was like, oh, to be a lighting designer, it sounds cool. So I enjoyed my lighting design class and I really put my heart into it then. It was just one class and one semester, but it was interesting. We learned the basics and then we did a layout and so it was always in the back of my mind, let's say.
When doing these lighting designs, was it kind of like your favorite, like let's say if you were in a group project, you were like, oh, let me volunteer to be in charge of the lighting?
Actually, we didn't put that much emphasis on the lighting.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you guys do that? Like, do you divide based on which part of the building to focus on when you do a project?
No, not really, honestly. It's just, I mean, for now, lighting is kind of an afterthought.
Yeah, that's exactly the experience because you dedicate so much time within the deadline that you have. I mean, the time frame that you have to build the concept, to present the basic things that you're like, all else is just mood board. Like, I want to achieve this And I can't go into detail, but if I had time, I would go into detail. So that's kind of what happened even in practice.
And so, like, from practice in school to practice in the industry, you know, we kind of talk about going into detail for lighting. Was it hard to find a firm that was specialized in lighting? Did you look for that first? Or did you look to join a normal firm and kind of ask them personally, hey, can I take on the role of lighting designer?
The former. And I never really had that sort of role. My first job was in interior architecture. So it was also quite fast-paced, doing restaurants and retail. And then you're really thinking about, okay, layouts, the client wants this adjustment, so on and so forth. We want this mood. Okay, this is the mood, render. And then only in construction phase do you think about, oh, okay, now we need to find the suppliers for the lights to achieve this mood.
Oh.
And you feel like you're running at that point. Or maybe you've always had an idea of a decorative sconce in mind, or I want the light to fall on the table like this. But because it's not like, it doesn't come second nature, you don't think about how to achieve that in the beginning stages. So even when I worked in high-end residential projects, it was kind of the case. Like, and if you think about it, in residences, the way it's illuminated makes a big difference. And yet it's one of the things that you think about more towards the end. Or you Photoshop it really well because you know what mood you want to achieve, but you don't know how exactly and what exactly to specify to get to that point.
Okay. So, like, let's say, for example, you were very passionate and you wanted to focus more on that, but the client and the agent was like, no, that's kind of an afterthought. We're going to do that after. You kind of were subject to that process. You couldn't, you know, pitch the idea first, or you had to follow kind of the industry standard of, okay, let's just figure this out last second. And would it accomplish that effect that you Photoshopped? Or sometimes would it not look like that at all?
It's difficult. A lot of mock-ups are needed, for sure. And I would say that was one of the things that pushed me to study lighting, because I was like, I can't live with relying on having to do a mock-up for every concept. It's not that we don't do mock-ups as lighting designers, but then they're a lot more targeted. Back then it was like, okay, I want the room to have this ambiance. I think these fixtures would work. It's easy to choose decorative fixtures because you can already specify that in the beginning. But then in terms of selecting the precise downlight to illuminate the precise range and achieve that level of precision, which actually makes a difference in the final space, that we weren't able to dive deep into, not because the client didn't want to, but it's because with the time that we had and the resources we had available to us, it was a stretch. So if we did it, it was not really beyond our services, but it would take us a lot more to understand it and apply it, as opposed to focusing on the architecture and the finishes and the structure and all of those things. Yeah, we would have to make an extra effort. Yeah.
But so then, because it's interesting for our listeners, you also were a freelance architect for a while. And you could argue that once you became freelance, you could choose to spend more time on lighting design instead of, you know, the other things that the firm tells you to do. How did that increase or open up your creative liberty compared to working in that traditional firm? And how did your relation to lighting design change as you went freelance?
Even if freelance has that freedom, the project timeline
is still
a constraint. So fortunately, I had the chance to work on smaller scale projects. And at that point, I was quite experienced enough to do layouts quickly. So then what I would do is, like, in this small, like, 1-bedroom studio that I renovated at one point, I would already be thinking about the fixtures and asking the supplier, okay, can you bring this on site? Let's test it this height. Let's test it here. Let's test it there. Okay, is it landing where I want it to land? Is it achieving what I wanted to achieve? So again, well, at least what I felt back then is that I had more chance to test them, more chances to return to site, as opposed to, you know, working in a studio. You can't just go on site whenever you want to. But if it's freelance, it's like, okay, I'll go another day because I wasn't certain about what I saw. I'll check this again.
It allows you to be so proactive when it comes to focusing and honing on what you want
Yeah.
the effect to be and how you want that final product to turn out. And that's a really good pro when it comes to freelance. But of course, there must have been cons. And I want to ask, were there any difficult moments when you were going freelance that taught you some lessons or difficult moments you had to overcome?
One of them I would say is the time spent, not saying
Okay.
that everything is measured by time,
Mm-hmm.
but also imagining, okay, I'm doing this 1 bedroom apartment and it's taking me this long, and it's this much effort to find fixtures that are okay,
Mm-hmm.
or to come up with this concept which I've seen elsewhere and it's okay. So I felt that there was much more to discover, and also as a professional, I personally didn't like going back again to working with clients or even being in a
Mhm.
firm and all of these things, to be able to tell my client face to face that, yeah, I'll achieve this mood for you, but in the back of your mind you're like, wait, I don't know yet how to achieve that mood for you. I didn't like having to do that repetitively and needing to feel like I'm going deep into research
Mhm.
for every single project. I was reflecting on this actually. It felt like I wanted to, let's say, paint a painting, but I didn't have I mean, sure, I know the store where to get
Mhm.
the brushes and
Yeah.
the paint, but I didn't like know the technique or how to
Mhm.
use it or what's the best way. Sure, I can pick them up and put a little bit of water if it's watercolor and then figure
Mhm.
it out. But you know that people who have trained, like, they have the tools and the abilities to
Abilities.
expand in what they can achieve.
And so, from what you're saying of like wanting to have more of that toolkit and that portfolio to expand on, you took the courageous decision to return to academia 8 years later after your undergrad to pursue a master's and move to Milan and find work here. So, was wanting to garner that toolkit one of the reasons why you moved here and pursued that master's instead of going back into a traditional firm?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that it's
Okay.
one of the factors,
Mm-hmm.
not the only one, because let's say that I always wanted to study further
Okay.
and not remain in my own country,
Mm.
because I wanted to expand and learn other perspectives, and that was really
Mhm.
important to me. And I would say this a bunch to people too. It was the frustration towards and understanding the beauty of lighting that pushed me to make that decision to study it. If I were to choose among the various things I could study, I was in an office outing one time, and we were watching the sunset in one of the best diving spots in the Philippines, and I was just amazed by how, like, the same space in the day and in the night can look totally different, but it's the same space, and the only thing that changes is the sunset. And it's that moment also when it changes from day to night, that's the most beautiful moment, and that like cemented itself in my mind. It's like, if one can know how to use light, one can totally transform a single architectural space.
Mm.
Yeah. So those were the things that really like pushed me. And then after COVID, like this years of reflection, right?
Reflection
Like,
and
okay,
confinement.
change. It's about
Change.
time to change.
I know it have so many new openings and explorations and perspectives, present themselves in front of you. And did your style then with these new perspectives evolve in synchronicity with your studies as you moved to Milan to study and work here
I don't think I really had an approach to lighting design
before
back
you
then.
came? Okay.
Coming here was also a lot of discovery of what I like and don't like.
That's
And
important.
That's what I appreciate
important.
about Milan, because there's just a lot of things happening all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a
Yeah.
plethora of experiences, and after like the first year you take it all in, the next year you're kind of like, I like this, I don't like this, and then the year after that you're like, I don't like this because blank, and I like this because blank.
Mm-hmm.
It was also a great thing that I had that experience before studying here. And I know usually here in Europe, people take their master right after their undergrad. It's typical. But where I come from, a lot of people don't even take a master. Or if they do, they prefer to work beforehand so you can take those skills and kind of understand them in the master. So that served me really well because doing the projects, for example, in the master, the process of the projects felt very natural. So it was a lot more of experimentation, and even like my group work, I always tell them that's one of the best collaborations I've ever had, because we had similar level of maturity in the professional sense. And it was really understanding how to define your concept and how to stick to it. So I think I've always loved finding a good concept. And I say finding because I realize that after you understand the people involved in the project, you define like, okay, this is the direction we're walking towards. And then all of your decisions, even in terms of lighting in this case, it's not about like, oh, do I like it and my group mate doesn't like it. It's like we both ask the question, is this serving the concept we agreed is best for this project? So I don't know if that makes sense. Like without an example, it's a bit theoretical, but
No. It makes sense. Like what you were speaking about, having that experience before coming and then allowing that maturity to be the soil for new ideas or new directions to bloom in. So I think like that's really powerful. Like you said, in Europe, a lot of students go straight into masters. They don't let themselves that space to breathe or kind of explore. And you had that. And would you say that allowed you to not feel confined by the specificity of your practice? Did you feel like then when you went into the masters and you started working in Milan, you were pushing against the confines already of what lighting design can be? Or do you feel like you were just tapping into the multitude of what there could be to offer or explore?
I thought about it, and I often miss architecture. Like when I speak with other interior designers or architects, I'm like, oh, I miss like doing the layout of the room. I do a lot of lighting layouts now. But yeah, it's true. But then at the same time, if you don't like take that leap into a specialization, then you'll never be able to integrate it. If you try to always stay general, you will be general. You can be really good, but then you don't have that like badge of specialization. So you're not limiting yourself by adding a new thing. For a few years, you may be, but then you can pick it back up, especially if the skills that you learned previously were like had a good foundation. So I have yet to see that. I do have some fears about returning because it's like, oh shoot, do I remember how to do the full building?
Yeah, the full building.
But let's see. It hasn't been too long ago.
I know. There's always exciting prospects on the way. There's always so much more to live and explore. And to conclude on our first part, is there any final advice you would give to aspiring students who want to work in the field of lighting design or who want to hone in on one specific element but are unsure?
Don't be afraid to take the jump into choosing one. It's not like a prison of a choice that if you don't like it, then you wasted your whole life. No, it's not like that. There is, I think in the field of architecture, there's so many transferable skills. That's also what makes architecture itself as a base beautiful, or like, design base. You can go into many different things, but the process and the design thinking, the critical thinking remains. So if you're interested in something, maybe what helped me also was, I just remembered it now, taking a little workshop.
Take workshops.
Yeah. Workshops help because it's like a little foot in and not a huge commitment. And you kind of realize, okay, am I good at it? Do I like it? Do I long to learn more about it? And then I guess read about it, listen to talks, visit places, and then make that decision.
Yes, make it and leap into it. And if it ever doesn't work out, like you still have a long, plentiful life in front of you to repivot or explore or go back, Like some of our previous guests, they put one foot in the door for one thing, realized it wasn't theirs, and then pivoted, and they found even more experiences to learn and grow. So really, if also specializing is too confining, you can always take a step back. But thank you for sharing us your story and your journey for this first half. We'll be right back for the second half. See you soon. Welcome back to the second half of the episode. We're joined here by Steph, and we talked about her journey, and now we're going to speak about her current projects and her design ethos as she works in Milan. She's been working at Metis, and it's her third year. And to give some context, Metis Lighting is an international independent lighting design company based in Milan that was founded in 1990. From being a studio that undertook small projects while producing light fixtures, they've expanded to create long-lasting collaborations with brands in retail and hospitality, together with projects for major public institutions. To name a few, Metis has illuminated Bulgari hotels, Dior stores, Tiffany boutiques, and the Bella Vita Tower facade in Taipei, Taiwan. Now, just over the past year, with Metis Lighting, you worked and finished some incredibly important projects in their home base. One of which, in fact, is a jewelry shop near the world-famous Duomo. And to give a bit of an introduction, could you take us on the journey of how a lighting designer starts from the drawing board with a brief all the way to the last fixture is installed? What's the nature of your task and role in the process, and how is that timeline for you?
I would say that there are two paths that I have in mind right now. Mm-hmm. Either it's a rollout store that's already following a predetermined concept, or it's a new concept that's being applied into a physical space.
Okay.
So, because the first one that I mentioned is covered by, an entirely new concept. We would begin with, receiving the material from the architects or the brand or the interior designers with what you'd call the SD package or whatever they could give us at that moment. And their explanation, their brief of what it's all about and all of these things. And oftentimes when there's a render, there's also this mood or this vibe in terms of how bright it is, how dark, and all of those things. So we would then understand that and then give our presentation back to them. It would involve also a lot of Photoshop, and already at that point, because we have the experience of generally what type of fixtures would be here to be able to serve that concept. And when we say concept, it's taking their renders. We would overlay how it would be illuminated. So we would alter the way that it's illuminated in Photoshop to be able to realistically present more or less with these fixtures and what we're telling you in this whole package, how it would appear in the end, how the mood would be in the end. The cool thing is that it's not all theoretical, conceptual from the get-go, because we already have to have in mind what fixture we'll use, what lamp, and all of these things to achieve that end goal. And then after that, we also have our DD, which is a DD layout, so it has all the criteria defined already. And then the design development details, which we would then give over to the architects to integrate our details, and then we would then receive the construction drawings and then review them and make sure that all the criteria were respected. And if there are modifications, then we would have to be very on top of it. So it's a very dynamic process, and we always have to be on our toes because we don't define the timeline. We can just tell how long it takes for us to do our work and then communicate that so that the workflow works.
So there's a dynamic dialogue between the architects, the designers, and the lighting team, right? It's very back and forth, or would you say it's only, during punctual checkups that there's this collaboration between the two? And this collaboration, is it primary or is it more complementary? Does the lighting design support more the main design phase, or do they have a paramount role, and can they have the right to alter some of the design?
Ooh. Generally, we're more of the support.
Oh, okay. You're the support.
Because also, if you think about it, we exist to bring their projects to life, to highlight them.
Yeah.
And even our choice of decorative fixtures or our suggestion, or sometimes we even do custom lighting, it always aligns with the design of the architect or aligns with the brand. So oftentimes we're walking alongside them. So if their process is revisions and revisions, then our process will also
include that.
Be like that. Or somewhere in between, we all try to find a way to do the project in the most sane way possible.
Yeah, making sure like you respect each other's timelines and deadlines. I'm sure that is a very interactive process that has its stresses, but also can be very fun, no? Like, is it nice to kind of re-interact with architects and designers?
Yeah, definitely. And I say this also to a bunch of people. The lighting designer is everybody's friend.
Mm-hmm.
Architects will not show nor give the CAD files or Revit files of their drawings to other architects. They're competitors.
Yeah.
No way. But they'll give it to us because they know that we need it to illuminate their work well.
Mhm.
And this was something that we learned in university that stuck with me. When a space is really well lit, people will go in and compliment the furniture, the wall finishes, the space.
Mm-hmm.
When the space is poorly lit, then people will say the lighting's so bad. So we don't often get praise for a job well done.
Mm-hmm.
And also because the best way to notice like how well a space has been transformed by light is to first see it without it, and then with it, or with bad lighting, and then renovate it to have good lighting.
Yeah, lighting is like the hidden genius that like ties everything together, and it's super important, like you said, for the project. If you enter and they're wowed by this space, then it's implicit that it's a job well done. And I wanted to tie that in with one of the projects you had finished, which was a high luxury retail store, which is a space that is meant to elicit those emotions of impression and glamour. And I wanted to ask, where it comes to impressing, are there any techniques in lighting design that you use to help elicit behavior in the people who enter this space? Maybe the way the light refracts or where it's positioned in a room that influences, the emotion of the people?
Well, the logic in retail is to make the products shine.
Right.
And nowadays, actually, retail is taking a trend towards not just being about selling the products, at least what I'm seeing, but also the space, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of cafes now in
Yes.
large flagship boutiques. And so it's about highlighting like the products and those spaces. And a lot of times the architects have a very specific choice of finishing and the intensity of light and the beam angle. For example, narrower beam angles give more of a punch to the objects that they illuminate. Also, color temperature is a big thing.
Right.
Because the color temperature, it's not just to give a certain feeling to the space, but again, it's always connected to the finish. So what color temperature will make this finish look best? What color temperature will make gold look best? Silver shine more, diamonds, things like that. And also, well, I think one of the most important things is not just the selection of the fixture, but the way it's installed. And that's why details are so important, because you can get like, the most well advertised high technology fixture, but if you install it in a way that is not to say incorrect, but doesn't perform the way you would want it to, then it doesn't work. So I say this a lot for like, imagine lighting on shelves or lighting on wall coves or pop-up ceilings. Like, you'll be surprised by how orientation makes a huge difference. So you can have the same lighting on a linear lighting on a shelf, but if you don't orient it or you don't select the one that's oriented in a certain way, you will not have the thing that it's illuminating shine.
Wow. And so, that the detail in that must have been insane.
So much detail, even in just a single wall vitrine. So a showcase, for example, a jewelry showcase. Even just the combination of diffuse and spotlighting makes the world of a difference. Because again, it's how it hits it, from where does it hit it? Is the background illuminated in this way? What perception will that give? And that's what I love about lighting also. It's a play on perception.
Right.
It's
a huge play on perception.
So much.
Are there specific perceptions that you like to elicit, and how do you do that? Like for for example, like when you're speaking of details, sometimes it's intentional that the person sees where the light is coming from. And sometimes you want to hide where the light is coming from. Does that influence the perception as well?
Often we prefer to hide where the light is coming from.
Oh, you prefer to hide?
Yes. Like the best one is when you don't even see it at all. Yeah, because another thing in lighting is the glare. So if lights aren't designed in a way where it's recessed enough or the light source is hidden, then you're always distracted by seeing this like bright spot somewhere in the ceiling. And that's when it makes ceiling lighting layouts feel so heavy and busy and all of those things. But you just remove the glare and you think about like going out into daylight. You don't see the sun like straight in your face. You just see everything illuminated and it feels comfortable, but everything is like bright in a great way.
Yeah.
And then your question was what perception?
Yeah, like what ones do you like to play with when it comes to lighting?
Ooh.
Is there a Steph signature?
Thinking about it, I like cozy.
Okay. How did you get cozy lighting?
If I think about a home, it's also where the light source is.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any like study really related to it, but I came across it in one of our projects. Lamps always feel cozier. I know there's a lot going around on Instagram about the big light and the small light.
Yeah, avoiding overhead light and only having
a
few small lamps.
But I think it might also be related to in nature that the sun coming from above that signals to your brain as like, it's daytime.
Yeah.
And then when the sun is low, it has this cozier atmosphere. And traditionally, before we had ceiling lights, we relied a lot on lamps, on fireplaces and all of those things, which have a low, like they're positioned low in your home. So the glow is not from above, but from below. So I found that even in homes when things are glowing from like eye level and below or lamps and such like that. And of course, color temperature very much affects coziness. And that is, like, studies have shown that's related to the sun's color temperature.
To add on to what you were saying about the light coming from a eye level and under, and how that makes us feel more at ease because it reflects the nature. And obviously one of the many ways we can feel cozy is also having natural light in a room. And lighting is very important when it comes to natural light and artificial light, because there's a very delicate balance in designing for both, or making sure that a certain feeling at daytime translates to nighttime. So what's your philosophy when it comes to that balance?
I really like connecting the outside environment to the inside. And not trying to force a day environment in the nighttime. Like we're given these times of the day for a reason, and like let's take advantage of it. So I do very much, as I was mentioning earlier, with like the beauty of sunsets and all of those things. I love light that can change, and with today's technology, it can. I mean, there's so much technology related to scene setting and
that's true,
and light groups and all of these things, which allow you to really be precise. And these things actually are automated for stores. Like in the daytime, there's a certain scene. In the nighttime, maybe it might still maintain the same scene. And then maybe if there's an event or if there's closing hour or something like that, it would change the scene using the same fixture. So I love the fact that light can match the color and the intensity of the sun nowadays.
Wow. That's something I've never thought about, like the different variations the lighting can go through throughout the day. And also, when you think about it, there is a lighting for when people inhabit the space, and there's a lighting for when people don't inhabit the space. And when people don't inhabit the space, how does your way of choosing the lighting change?
It's, again, with retail, it's very focused on showing something.
Right.
So the show windows, certainly. And then just some of the indirect lighting inside to give people a view of what, if they come back the next day, they can see that. But I would say it's super interesting more in the hospitality and restaurant
Oh, yes.
sphere
Mm-hmm.
of things, because these ones do change a lot and it's very dependent on scenes. So I remember a coffee shop that we've done
Mm-hmm.
before, and I was there from like before sunset until evening, and it changed 2 times
Uh-huh.
within the 3 hours I was there, because the
Wow.
daylight had changed outside, and then this particular coffee shop wanted to give that feeling that in the day it could feel like, you know, your average cool coffee shop,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the night it would feel more like a bar. So it's just the magic of like turning on and off certain things, and
Mhm.
even the speed of the
Mhm.
change. Like
That's true.
you can time that as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That possibility is so fun to think about, timing the lighting. And speaking about that type of fun, modifications we can bring to lighting design. To conclude, is there any space or scale or situation you would love to explore in relation to lighting design? Any possibilities or ventures you feel like hold potential for the future?
I would love to do lighting for historical places.
Oh.
Yeah. I think often of my country, and there's this historic city that it's called Intramuros. The Spanish had put it up in when they colonized the Philippines. And it's a gem. It hasn't been maintained too well, but I imagine, like, if these facades can be illuminated,
Mm-hmm.
if the interiors can be, I don't know, even renovated and things like that, I would love to illuminate those. I remember when we visited Paris for the first time earlier this year, and we saw the buildings around the Louvre.
Uh-huh.
I remember they were illuminated so gently, and just one portion of the building, the upper part.
Yes.
And I was like, this is interesting, because this is a choice to choose that one section and make it glow in a very gentle way. And I realized that, okay, I again, learning things that I prefer. I like that softness.
Plus, it's like a warm yellow glow.
Yeah.
It's not white, so it also adds to that feeling of warmth. And yeah, I love the way it's lit as well. It's so fun to walk around Paris. But this brings us to the end of such a fruitful conversation. Once again, we're so honored to have you on today and have you share with us your knowledge and your light. And I want to thank you again. Is there a way perhaps students or individuals can find you anywhere?
They
At
can
Metis
find
Lighting?
me. Yeah, you can see my face on their website, and the many projects that Metis has done. And I personally also have an Instagram page, not
Yes.
very updated, but I am very reachable.
Yes.
on that page.
That's exciting. So once again, thank you so much for the episode, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, Julian. It's been an honor.
Thank you, Steph. All right, everyone. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Bye.